computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
Hello dear listener, and welcome to episode 76 of Life Through a Prism with your host Rob Tierney. Today we're going to look at an article from the website Psychology Today entitled Media Portrayals, Perpetuate Disability Stereotypes. It's time to move past tropes to authentic representation. This was co-authored by Sophia Dixon and Kathleen Bogart, PhD, updated May 27th, 2025. The link to the article will be in the show notes, and just a warning, some of these opinions of the above author may be distressing to some. Disability tropes in media are harmful and reinforce outdated stereotypes. Authentic portrayals of disability reduce bias and discrimination against people with disabilities. Viewers can help drive change by advocating for authentic disability representation. When was the last time you saw a disabled character on TV who wasn't depicted as a tragedy, burden, or a punchline? People with disabilities are the largest minority group in America, yet they remain vastly underrepresented in TV shows and movies. When they are shown, their portrayals are often problematic, offering not only an inaccurate depiction of people with disabilities, but also reinforcing stereotypes, fueling misunderstanding, and ultimately harming disabled communities. Media often relies on a few common tropes to inaccurately portray people with disabilities. 1. The bitter disabled person. This trope depicts people with disabilities as bitter and angry, suggesting that living with a disability is always miserable. A good example of this is Lieutenant Dan from the movie Forrest Gump. His character is initially very strong and powerful, but he becomes unhappy and resentful after losing his legs in the Vietnam War and remains that way until he gets prosthetic legs. 2. Infantilizing. This trope often appears with characters who have intellectual disabilities or autism, portraying them as childlike and innocent. This not only encourages patronizing treatment of people with disabilities, but it also depicts a character as a tool for others to feel good about themselves. The character Sam from the movie I Am Sam is an example of this. His intellectual disability leads to others assuming he is not competent as a parent, and his character has been criticised for being overly simplified and lacking nuance. Point 3. Better Off Dead. This trope focuses on characters with disabilities who wish to end their own lives, depicting them as being rational and selfless. This is a harmful portrayal, as it once again sends a message that living with a disability is unbearable, both for the person and for those around them. This is seen in the movie Me Before You, where the character Will has quadriplegia and chooses to die by suicide. He does this not only because he struggles to accept his disability, but also because he believes it is better for his love interest, reinforcing the idea that disability is a burden. Inspiration porn. This trope highlights the achievements of people with disabilities in a way that is meant to inspire non-disabled people. The idea of, if they can do it, so can I. While this may seem positive, it fails to account for the complexity of their character and reduces them to their disability. For example, in the movie Wonder, the main character, Oggy Pullman, who has a facial difference, is often framed as brave or inspirational simply for going to school and interacting with others. A clear example of inspiration porn occurs when he receives an award for kindness and courage, despite not doing anything different from his peers other than having a disability. Moments like these turn his everyday life into inspirational lessons for non-disabled characters, ultimately oversimplifying his identity and experiences. Point 5. Institutionalization. This trope shows people with disabilities as being confined to isolated institutions. This is especially harmful and reinforces several stereotypes that people with disabilities are threats, burdens, incapable of caring for themselves, and that they do not belong into the community. For example, Dustin Hoffman's character in the movie Rain Man has autism and lives most of his life in an institution. Even after his brother meets him, he is ultimately returned back to the institution. Media shapes public opinion. How disability is depicted in the media directly influences how the public sees disability and the assumptions they make about it. For those who don't directly interact with people with disabilities, TV and movies may be their main source of information. This is concerning, especially considering a study done in 2019 showed that over half of their participants were prejudiced against people with disabilities. By reinforcing stereotypes, popular media is contributing to prejudice and remains a significant barrier to progress. It is also important to note another problematic aspect of disability representation in the media, the casting of non-disabled actors in disabled roles. For disability to be portrayed in an authentic and respectful way, it is crucial that the actor understands the lived experience and has an opportunity to control how disability is represented. Failing to do so continues a cycle of harmful and inaccurate media representation. Just like to stop there for a second. I asked this question in the last episode and I'll ask it again. Do you think that if somebody who is being portrayed in a role that does not have a disability is the actor, does it matter? If there is no one to portray that character, if someone with a disability has those skills, should they be allowed to play that part? Back to the article. The media has the power to positively impact views and beliefs toward people with disabilities. The study mentioned earlier also found that people who watched positive portrayals of disability in TV and movies were less likely to report negative feelings after interacting with people with disabilities and were more likely to recognise discrimination. While negative portrayals of disability are still abundant, there are some positive depictions that should be appreciated as well. One example is the show Sex Education, which features a character named Isaac who uses a wheelchair. He is portrayed as a complex character with a storyline that does not revolve around his disability. And he also has romantic relationships, something that is rarely shown when disability is depicted in the media. Another positive portrayal is seen in Breaking Bad through the character Walter White Jr., who has cerebral palsy and is played by R.J. Mitt, an actor with cerebral palsy. Walter Jr.'s disability is rarely the focal point of his character. Instead, it is shown as part of his everyday life as he navigates typical challenges faced by most adolescents. He is shown as an independent, capable individual with goals, offering a more authentic and relatable representation of a disabled person. While the most significant changes in disability representation need to come from producers, it is important to recognise your role as a consumer of media as well. Here are 4 tangible steps you can take to support better disability representation in media. 1. Intentionally research and seek out positive portrayals of disability, especially those featuring disabled actors in disabled roles. This will broaden your perspective and signal to producers that these representations matter. 2. Avoid content that perpetuates stereotypes, does not cast disabled actors, and reduces people with disabilities to one-dimensional characters. By doing this, you can encourage producers to change their approach. 3. Discuss the importance of representation with friends and family, and encourage them to take similar steps. Raising awareness of these issues is essential to creating lasting change. 4. Call out problematic content when you come across it, by writing reviews and leaving comments on social media. In a society where media consumption is constant, the lack of accurate portrayal of disability is not just disappointing, it harms the largest minority group in America. It's crucial for everyone to critically analyse their media consumption and reflect on how people with disabilities are represented. Let's move beyond the inaccurate stereotypes and start telling authentic stories that reflect the full experience of people with disabilities. There you go, listener, pretty heavy topic today. Even though this article is American-based, I would say it is similar in other parts of the world. I would love to know what your thoughts are. Is portrayal of people with disability improving, or going backwards, or stagnant? Do you feel the author is bullying readers, or is putting forth genuine points? Are there any TV shows, movies, where if a person with a disability is being portrayed, did you find it cringeworthy or just an integral part of the story? Before I finish today's episode, I would just like to ask, if you have enjoyed this podcast and enjoy the free content I create, could you please give a like and consider subscribing? This podcast is not only on Spotify, but Apple and YouTube as well. Also now the podcast has a webpage. You can find the link in the show notes. I enjoy creating this content for you, and it helps me be motivated to continue to make great content in the future. Till next time, take care and bye for now.